There is a moment that comes in every person's life. A moment when you are standing at the edge of something new. An opportunity, a challenge, a room full of people you do not know, a task you have never done before. And in that moment, before you move, before you speak, before you act, there is a voice. And that voice asks you a question. It asks, who do you think you are? It is a quiet question, but it carries the weight of everything. Because the answer you give in that split second will determine everything that follows. It will determine whether you step forward or step back, whether you speak or remain silent, whether you rise to the occasion or shrink from it. Most people never notice this moment. They never hear the question. They simply react. They feel small, so they act small. They feel unworthy, so they make themselves smaller still. They apologize for their presence before they have even done anything wrong. But there is another way. There is a way of moving through the world that has nothing to do with arrogance and everything to do with alignment. It is a way of being that the great achievers have always known, though they rarely speak of it in public. It is the art of acting as if, not pretending, not faking, something much deeper, acting as if you are the best, acting as if no one is better than you, not because you have proven it yet, not because you have the trophies or the titles or the applause, but because you understand something that most people never grasp. And that understanding changes everything. Let us sit with that feeling for a moment. The feeling of being small. The feeling of walking into a room and silently calculating your worth compared to everyone else in it. The feeling of looking at someone who seems to have it all together. Someone who speaks with confidence, who moves with ease, who takes up space without apologizing, and feeling yourself shrink in comparison. It is a feeling that visits everyone. The wealthy feel it. The successful feel it. The beautiful feel it. No one is immune. It is part of being human, this tendency to look at others and measure ourselves against them. It is as natural as breathing. But here is the hidden problem that most people never notice. The problem is not that you feel small sometimes. The problem is not that doubt visits you on occasion, like a cloud passing across the sun. The problem is that you have made that feeling into a permanent residence. You have built a home inside that smallness, and you have spent years decorating it with all the evidence that proves you are right to live there. Think about it. You remember the time you failed. You remember it vividly. You can still feel the embarrassment, the disappointment, the weight of it. And you have taken that memory and hung it on the wall of your inner room like a painting. You look at it often. You show it to yourself regularly. You remember the person who rejected you, the job you did not get, the word someone said that cut deep. You have placed those memories on the mantle like trophies. Not trophies of victory, but trophies of wounding. You display them proudly. You polish them with your attention. You remember the criticism, the doubt, the moment you embarrassed yourself in front of others. You have arranged these memories like furniture, placed just so that you cannot move through the room without bumping into them. And then you sit in that room, surrounded by all this evidence of your smallness, and you wonder why you cannot breathe. You wonder why you cannot seem to step forward with confidence. You wonder why you feel so heavy. Most people never notice that they are the ones who built the room. They think the room was built for them by the world. They think their smallness was assigned to them at birth, like a destiny they cannot escape. They point to their history, their circumstances, their upbringing, and they say, "See, this is why I am this way. This is why I cannot be more." But the truth is harder and more liberating. The truth is that you have been practicing smallness for years. You have been rehearsing it every single day. Every time a thought of doubt arose and you agreed with it, you were practicing. Every time you stayed silent when you had something valuable to say, you were rehearsing. Every time you looked at someone else's success and used it as evidence of your own failure, you were adding another brick to the walls of that small room. You have been practicing being average. You have been rehearsing being less than. And now, after thousands of repetitions, the role feels natural. It feels like who you really are. But it is not who you really are. It is a habit, and habits can be broken. Think about a young child learning to walk. Have you ever watched this process? It is extraordinary. The child stands, wobbling. They take a step. They fall. They cry, perhaps. And then, after a moment, they get up again. They fall again. They get up again. This happens 100 times, 1,000 times. But here's what is remarkable. The child does not, after the 50th fall, sit on the floor and say, well, I guess I am not a walker. I guess other people are just better at this than me. I guess I was not born with a walking gene. I should just accept that crawling is my destiny. No, the child gets up, again and again. They have not yet learned to feel small. They have not yet learned to compare themselves to the adults who stride confidently across the room. They do not look at their parents and think, they are so much better at walking than I am. I will never be that good. They simply know that they want to move, and so they keep trying. Something happens between childhood and adulthood. Something is taught to us or caught by us. We learn to measure. We learn to judge. We learn to look at others and see a ladder, with ourselves somewhere on the lower rungs, always looking up, always feeling behind. And we forget that the ladder is not real. It is a construction of the mind. It exists only because we agree that it exists. Only because we keep feeding it with our attention. The hidden problem is this agreement. The quiet, unspoken contract you have signed with the world that says, I am less than. I am not enough. I will wait until I have earned the right to feel worthy. I will wait until I have proven myself. I will wait until someone gives me permission. And as long as you honor that contract, as long as you keep renewing it with every comparison, every doubt, every moment of shrinking, you will never act as if. You will always act as if not. As if you are not ready. As if you are not qualified. As if you are not the one. But the contract was never valid. It was signed by a version of you that did not know any better. And it can be canceled in a single moment of recognition. So let us look directly at the mental trap that keeps people average. It is a trap that is cleverly disguised. It does not look like a trap at all. It looks like wisdom. It looks like humility. It looks like being honest with yourself. It looks like the responsible, mature way to move through the world. The trap is this: believing that your current circumstances are an accurate reflection of your true potential. You look at your life right now. You take an inventory. You look at your bank account, and it tells you something about your worth. You look at your relationships, and they tell you something about your lovability. You look at your career, your body, your history, your failures, your unfinished projects, and you add it all up. You calculate the total, and you say, this is who I am. This is what I am worth. This is what I can expect from life. And because you believe that, you act accordingly. You ask for less than you deserve. You settle for less than you want. You stop yourself before you even begin, because you have already decided that beginning would be foolish. It would be arrogant. It would be pretending to be something you are not. This feels like realism. It feels like protecting yourself from disappointment. It feels like the wise choice to lower your expectations so you will not be hurt when life does not deliver. But here's the question that shatters the trap. Who told you who you are? Who gave you that definition? Who handed you that measurement and said, this is your size, now fit inside it? Was it your parents? They loved you, surely. They did the best they could with what they knew. But they were also living inside their own small rooms, furnished with their own doubts and fears. They passed on to you what was passed on to them, a blueprint for a life that is safe, but small. Was it your teachers? They taught you from a curriculum designed for the masses, for the average student, for the child who would grow up to be a reliable worker, not a world shaker. They graded you on how well you fit into their system, not on how brightly your unique light could shine. Was it your friends? They love you, but they also have a stake in you not changing too much. Your growth would illuminate their stagnation. Your courage would highlight their fear. Unconsciously, they prefer you to stay exactly as you are, so they do not have to question who they have become. Was it the culture? The culture profits from your smallness. A small person is a good consumer. A small person buys things to feel bigger, seeks validation outside themselves, and works without asking for more than they are given. A small person is easy to manage, easy to predict, easy to control. Napoleon Hill understood this trap better than almost anyone who has ever written about success. He spent 20 years studying the patterns of human achievement, and he came to a conclusion that challenges everything we are taught. The greatest enemy of human potential is not circumstance. It is not lack of opportunity. It is not even lack of talent. These are all real, but they are not the primary obstacle. The greatest enemy is the acceptance of mediocrity as a permanent condition. When you accept that you are average, something dies inside you. Not dramatically, not all at once. It is a slow fading, a dimming. You stop striving. You stop reaching. You stop imagining what could be. And a person who has stopped imagining is, for all practical purposes, already finished. They are breathing. They are moving. They are going through the motions of life. But the fire has gone out. The engine has cooled. They are waiting for the end, not creating the beginning. Listen carefully to this part. The trap of average thinking is that it feels safe. It feels like the wise choice to lower your expectations so you will not be disappointed. But that is not wisdom. That is fear wearing a mask. That is the mind protecting itself from the possibility of failure by eliminating the possibility of success. Imagine a bird that has spent its entire life in a cage. The cage door is opened, but the bird does not fly out. It has been in the cage so long that it no longer believes the cage exists. It has built its identity around the bars. It has learned to eat the food that is provided, to perch on the single branch, to sing the songs that fit within those walls. The door is open, but the bird does not see it. It only sees the familiar. This is you. The cage of your current circumstances has been open for a long time. The door has always been unlocked, but you have lived inside these bars so long that you have forgotten they are not real. You have mistaken your habits for your nature. You have mistaken your past for your future. And the only way out of the trap is to act as if the trap does not exist. To act as if you are already free. To act as if you are already the person you want to become. Not because you have proof, but because the proof will only come after you start acting. The evidence will only appear after you believe. And this brings us to the Napoleon Hill principle that changes everything. It is the principle he placed at the very center of his philosophy, the engine that drives all transformation. He called it autosuggestion, but not the way it is often taught today, as a simple technique for repeating affirmations while looking in the mirror. Autosuggestion, in its deepest and most powerful form, is the art of communicating with your own subconscious mind. It is the bridge between the person you are and the person you want to become. It is the mechanism by which you impress new truths upon the deepest part of yourself, until those truths become the foundation of your reality. And it works through a simple, undeniable law, a law that is as reliable as gravity. The subconscious mind does not argue with you. It does not debate. It does not ask for proof or evidence. It does not require a resume or references. It accepts whatever you feed it, whatever you impress upon it with feeling and repetition, and it begins to organize your entire life around that impression. Think of your subconscious mind as the richest, most fertile soil you can imagine. It does not judge the seeds you plant. It does not say, "This is a weed seed, I will not grow it." It does not say, "This is a flower seed, I will prioritize it." It simply takes whatever you give it and grows it. It multiplies it. It brings it to harvest. If you plant corn, you will harvest corn. If you plant thistles, you will harvest thistles. The soil does not care. It is neutral. It is faithful. It is powerful beyond measure. For most of your life, you have been planting seeds without knowing it. You have been dropping thoughts into this fertile soil randomly, carelessly, unconsciously. A thought of worry passes through your mind, and you grab it and plant it. A fear of failure arises, and you water it with your attention. A memory of rejection surfaces, and you fertilize it with your emotions. And then you wonder why your life is full of weeds. You wonder why you cannot seem to grow anything beautiful. You have been planting doubt for years, and now you are surprised to find that doubt has taken over the garden. But here's the part that changes everything. The reverse is also true. The soil does not discriminate. It will grow whatever you plant. If you begin to feed your subconscious mind with images of confidence, images of worthiness, images of yourself as the best, it will accept those as true as well. It does not know the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It only knows what you impress upon it with emotional intensity and consistent repetition. This is why acting as if you are the best is not delusion. It is not pretending in the shallow sense of the word. It is not lying to yourself. It is programming. It is the deliberate, conscious direction of your own mental powers toward a specific outcome. It is taking control of the garden. Napoleon Hill studied the greatest achievers of his time. He spent 20 years interviewing them, living with them, learning from them. He sat at the feet of Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and hundreds of others who had built empires from nothing. And what he discovered was that they all had one thing in common. They all practiced a form of mental rehearsal. They all saw themselves as successful before the success appeared in the external world. They all acted as if they had already arrived, long before the world agreed with them. Think about that. They were not waiting for permission. They were not waiting for evidence. They were not waiting for circumstances to change. They were creating the evidence by first creating the mindset. They were changing the circumstances by first changing themselves. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate who commissioned Hill's research, did not become wealthy by accident. He did not become wealthy by hoping and wishing. He did not become wealthy by looking at his current circumstances and accepting them as permanent. He became wealthy by first seeing himself as a man who could organize and lead a vast industrial empire. He saw it so clearly, so vividly, with such intense feeling, that his subconscious mind accepted it as reality. And then, driven by that inner conviction, his actions followed. He acted as if he was already that man, and slowly, over time, the world rearranged itself to match his vision. Most people do the opposite. They wait for their actions to create their vision. They wait for the results to justify the belief. They say, when I have proof that I am worthy, then I will believe it. When I have evidence that I am the best, then I will act like it. But it never works that way. It cannot work that way. The belief must come first. The acting as if must come first. The results are simply the echo of that inner conviction. They are the shadow cast by the light of your own self-image. You cannot wait until you feel ready. You will never feel ready. You cannot wait until you have proof. The proof will only arrive after you have acted on faith. You must plant the seed before you can eat the fruit. How do great achievers think differently? How do they maintain this sense of themselves as the best, this quiet, unshakable confidence, without becoming arrogant or delusional? How do they walk through a world that constantly tells them they are not enough, and yet remain untouched by that message? It begins with a distinction that is almost never made. A distinction that, once you see it, changes everything about how you move through life. It is the distinction between comparing yourself to others and comparing yourself to your own potential. When you compare yourself to others, you will always lose. Always. Even if you are the best in the world at something, even if you stand at the very top of your field, there will still be someone to compare yourself to. Someone younger, someone with more potential, someone who started later and climbed faster. Or you will look back at your own past and compare your present self to who you used to be, and you will find yourself wanting. Comparison is a game with no winner. It is a ladder with no top rung. It is a race with no finish line. If your sense of worth is based on being better than others, you will spend your entire life on a treadmill, running faster and faster, never arriving, never resting, never feeling satisfied. There will always be another person to measure yourself against. There will always be another standard to fail to meet. But when you compare yourself to your own potential, the game changes entirely. It is no longer a competition. It is a journey. You are not trying to be better than anyone else. You are trying to become everything you are capable of becoming. You are trying to express the fullness of your own unique gifts. You are trying to unfold, like a seed becoming a tree, into the person you were always meant to be. And in that pursuit, there is no competition. There is only creation. There is no anxiety about where you stand in relation to others. There is only the quiet, steady work of becoming more than you were yesterday. The great achievers understand this at a deep, cellular level. They are not motivated by proving themselves to others. They are not driven by the need for validation or applause. They are motivated by something far more powerful. They are motivated by the desire to express themselves fully, to bring forth what is inside them, to leave nothing on the table. They act as if they are the best, not because they need to feel superior, but because they refuse to settle for less than their best. It is not about being better than you. It is about being true to themselves. Think about a master craftsman at work. Imagine a cabinet maker who has spent 40 years learning his trade. He has built thousands of pieces. He has made every mistake possible and learned from each one. He knows wood. He knows grain. He knows joinery. He knows finish. Now watch him work on a new piece. A simple drawer, perhaps. Does he stop in the middle of carving a dovetail joint to worry about whether some other cabinet maker somewhere could do it better? Does he compare his technique to theirs while his chisel is in motion? Does he wonder what they would think of his work? No, he is completely absorbed in the work. He is present with the wood, with the tool, with the moment. He is focused on making this joint as perfect as he can make it right now, with a skill he has developed over a lifetime. He acts as if he is the best because, in this moment, he is giving his best. And that is all that matters. That is all that has ever mattered. This is the mindset you are invited to adopt, not the mindset of arrogance, which is brittle and defensive and requires constant feeding. Arrogance is a mask worn by those who are secretly afraid they are not enough. It is loud because it needs to be heard. It is aggressive because it needs to prove itself. But the mindset of sovereignty is different. Sovereignty is quiet. It is unshakable. It does not need to prove anything because it knows what it is. It does not need to defend itself because it is not under attack. It simply is. When you act as if you are the best, you are not claiming that no one else has talent. You are not claiming that you have nothing left to learn. You are not claiming that you are superior to anyone else on the planet. That would be arrogance, and arrogance is a trap of its own. You are simply claiming something much simpler and much more powerful. You are claiming that, in this moment, you will not shrink. You will not apologize for your presence. You will not dim your light so that others feel more comfortable. You will not make yourself small so that others can feel big. You will show up fully. You will speak your truth. You will offer your gift. And you will let the chips fall where they may. You will let the world respond however it responds. And you will not take that response personally, because your worth was never on the line. This is how great achievers think. They think in terms of contribution, not comparison. They think in terms of expression, not impression. They are not trying to look good. They are trying to be good. They are not trying to prove anything. They are trying to create something. They are not trying to win a race against others. They are trying to complete the journey they were born to take. And because they are not attached to the outcome, because they are not worried about how they will be judged, because they are not constantly looking over their shoulder to see who is gaining on them, they are free. They are free to act with complete confidence. They are free to take risks. They are free to fail and learn and grow. They are free to act as if they belong, because they know, deep down, that belonging is not something you earn. It is not something you are granted by others. Belonging is something you claim. It is something you step into. It is something you act as if is already true, until one day you realize it always was. So we arrive at the threshold, the quiet but powerful awakening moment that changes everything. It is not a loud moment. It does not arrive with fireworks or dramatic music. It arrives in silence. It arrives in the space between one breath and the next. And it arrives when you are finally tired enough of the old way to welcome something new. The moment is this, the realization that you have been waiting for permission that was never required. Think about it. Look back across your life. How many moments have you let pass because you were waiting to feel ready? How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers because you were waiting for someone to choose you? How many words have remained unspoken because you were waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect confidence, the perfect circumstances? You have been waiting to feel ready. You have been waiting for the anxiety to disappear before you speak. You have been waiting for the doubt to vanish before you act. You have been waiting for someone to anoint you, to validate you, to give you the stamp of approval that says, yes, you are allowed. Yes, you are enough. You have been waiting to be chosen for the job, for the relationship, for the opportunity, for the recognition. You have been standing with your hand raised, hoping someone will call on you, hoping someone will see you, hoping someone will give you a seat at the table. You have been waiting for the circumstances to be perfect, for the economy to improve, for the timing to be right, for the stars to align, for all the obstacles to magically disappear so you can finally move forward without risk. You have been waiting for someone to tell you that you are enough. A parent, a partner, a boss, a teacher, a mentor. You have been collecting compliments like coins, hoping that eventually you will have enough to purchase a sense of worth. And while you have been waiting, life has been passing by. Opportunities have come and gone. Moments have arrived and departed. People have entered your life and left. And the person you could have become has remained a ghost, haunting the edges of your awareness, wondering why you never let them live. The awakening is this. No one is coming to give you permission. No one is coming to tell you that you are the best. No one is coming to anoint you or validate you or certify you. That is not how life works. That is a fairy tale we tell ourselves to avoid the responsibility of claiming our own power. The world does not give you an identity. The world reflects back the identity you project. If you project smallness, if you project uncertainty, if you project the energy of someone who is waiting for permission, the world will treat you accordingly. It will walk past you. It will overlook you. It will assign you to the background. Not because the world is cruel, but because the world is responding to the signal you are sending. If you project doubt, the world will give you reasons to doubt. If you project unworthiness, the world will arrange itself to confirm your unworthiness. This is not punishment. This is simply the law of reflection. You get back what you put out. But if you project confidence, if you project worthiness, if you project the quiet, unshakable knowing that you belong at the table, the world will eventually make room for you. Not immediately, not without resistance, not without challenges, but eventually, because the world is not looking for people who are perfect. It is looking for people who are certain. It is looking for people who know who they are. It is looking for people who act as if they have already arrived. Because that certainty is contagious. It creates trust. It creates respect. It creates results. People want to follow someone who knows where they are going. People want to work with someone who believes in themselves. People want to be around someone who radiates the quiet confidence of belonging. Napoleon Hill wrote extensively about the importance of faith. Not religious faith, necessarily, but faith in yourself. Faith in your vision. Faith in your ability to become something more than you are today. Faith in the unseen, unproven, unmanifested potential that lives within you. And faith, at its core, is simply acting as if. It is behaving as if the thing you desire is already on its way. It is carrying yourself with the dignity of the person you are becoming, even before the world recognizes that person. It is speaking with the authority of someone who has already arrived, even while you are still on the journey. You do not need to be arrogant. You do not need to be loud. You do not need to put others down or prove them wrong. You simply need to stop putting yourself down. You need to stop apologizing for your existence. You need to stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You need to stop waiting for permission from a world that is too busy to grant it. You need to stand up, straighten your spine, lift your chin, and walk into the room as if you belong there. Because you do belong there. You have always belonged there. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the habit of acting as if you do not deserve it. The only thing separating you from the person you want to become is the practice of waiting for someone else to say you are ready. And that habit can be broken. Right now, in this moment, you can set it down. The weight of unworthiness, the burden of comparison, the exhaustion of trying to be small enough to fit into a world that was never meant to contain you. The endless waiting for permission from people who have no authority to give it. You can set it down, and in the space that is left, you will find yourself. The self you have always been. The self that knew, even when you forgot, even when you doubted, even when you hid, that you were enough. That you have always been enough. That you were born enough. You were born worthy. You were born with a gift that only you can give. You were born to take up space, to speak your truth, to act as if you belong. Because belonging is not something you earn. It is something you remember. And now you remember. Pause for a long moment of silence, allowing the words to settle deeply. Listen to the quiet. It has been here all along, waiting for you to stop waiting, waiting for you to begin.